three of these characters share one thing that puts them ahead of everybody else. They can destroy weapons.
Up. Hello, ladies and gentlemen and non-binaries. My name is Barbara. I'm joined by Pharrow. It's also fixed the issue, so yay me. We are going to be taking a look at, we're starting our Mortal Kombat X run because, well, Mortal Kombat X has 4 guest characters and they're all horror themed. We'll talk about you later. And because we're going by release order, the first one we're going to be talking about came out was actually announced on my birthday, or on March 13th of 2015, before the Kombat Pack 1 trailer, which was released on my birthday of that same year, which was super hype. This guy came out 1 month after Mortal Kombat X's launch, Jason Voorhees. Are we excited for that?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Cool. Let's start with the bio. Death and revenge make up the very core of Jason Voorhees' being. He died as a young boy, his mother killed out of grief and rage. When she was murdered, Jason returned and avenged her. Many times since, the living have tried to send him back to the realm of the dead. He's been stabbed, drowned, electrocuted, hurled into space. But Jason cannot be killed, cannot be stopped.
Yeah, kind of sums it up.
That's Jason Voorhees for you. So, speaking of Jason Voorhees, we're going to pop into the training mode and check out. We're going to do something a little bit different because Mortal Kombat 9 was relatively basic. Because of the variation system, we'll be taking a look at Jason's basic kit, which actually is pretty implementary in in 2 of his 3 variations. They just have a couple of extra things, and then we'll take a look. We'll check out what he has in those variations, and then we'll get to his arcade. So let's just pick Unstoppable, just because it's easy from there. And who will be our punching bag this episode? It can't be any of the guests.
Gotta be one of the Kombat kids.
All right. So we've got Takeda with his Apocalypse costume, which I gotta say. Woo. Cassie Cage with her Endurance cosplay and suit costume. Jackie Briggs with her Boot Camp, Scorpion cosplay, and Cyber. Oh, I forgot to say Takeda Shira Ryu costume. And then Kung Jin's Kung Jin costume, Shadow costume, and Marksman costume.
Okay.
So who shall we beat up?
Let's go Cassie and Endurance.
Okay, I'll do her player 2, and let's do variationless Cassie because she isn't going to do anything. Dead Woods, I think. Let's do.
Yeah, Dead Woods. Gotta be.
Yeah, because I haven't. Oh, that's right, because I haven't played the story mode, so I don't have the infected versions of the stages, which it's just them with the red sky. It's no big deal. So,
gotcha.
Jason Voorhees. Yes, it's running below 60, but I'm not terribly fussed. So Jason Voorhees, as you can see, is a big dude, and he is, well, as you can see, his run isn't the fastest. It's fucking goofy looking when you see it. Dun 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 dun. But that's just because Jason doesn't run that much. A lot of his moves are pretty basic, nothing too crazy. He's got a big honking uppercut. He's unique, though, alongside one of the other guests, in having a stun that lets him on one of his normals, which is a little bit tricky to do. Hold on, I could probably just do the easy version. Yeah, there we go. Just for the sake of demonstrations, we'll talk about his special moves later. And a lot of his moves are big in terms of animation. So I'm gonna tag. I think I can tag 6 at a time. So I'll just tag the more cinematic ones.
Okay. Final Friday?
Yeah. So his strings are Shoulder Smash. I'll talk about like the full strings. Crown Crusher, Awakens, Killing Blow, Killer, Camp Killer, Run Away, Shattering Slam, Final Friday, which is probably one of the most busted strings in the game, Haunting, In the Shadows, and Stalker. So, okay, because it's not running at 60, uncommon public enemy connections. There we go, for big damage. Okay, so, like I said, Freddy's not, or Freddy, fuck, that was the last episode. Jason is not subtle. Like, he's got basic moves. He's not doing crazy martial arts shit, but he does have this. You know, now you're in the corner. Camp Killer is interesting because it comes off of this stun from before, but if you do the full string, it's just like almost a command grab, but it's not a true grab. It's just like got an extended animation. And then Final Friday is off this knee, which it's weird that Jason has a really fast knee in this game, but you know, you get the overhead knockdown, you get the high launch, and then you have Final Friday. And then he just eats you. But here's the thing. This is a true throw, so it's unblockable. And does more damage than the normal throw. This gets stupid in this variation for reasons we'll get to later. But having a true, like, comboable, like, tick throw off of this right here, one of his fastest mids, is kind of crazy. But now let's take a look at his truly universal kit, which actually, now that I think about it, isn't actually all that much. They have variations, but we'll do the ones that you would have the same inputs for. So he only has 2 of them really, but one of them does get replaced in this variation. We'll talk about that later. He has the choke. It's a really fast mid, ends in damage, and on meter burn, smash. Then there's the temple punch. Ah! Ah! And then on meter burn, this has armor and does more damage. And
man, he's falling ass like remake Jason.
yeah, right? But now let's take a look at the moves that are universal in the sense that I think they're in his variation list, but they don't show up in one of his variations. He has the backbreaker, which is one of his command grabs. Just raw damage, big boy damage, and a side switch. And on
oh, that is absolutely a reference.
Is it?
Yeah.
Cool. This is also one of his brutality moves that is in his this variation actually. And on meter burn, nope, that's the wrong move. No. Jason, behave. There we go. There we go. So that's the backbreaker, and then we have tight squeeze, which is slower but has more reach. And on meter burn, little extra damage, and then he just eats you. But here's the thing: this was added in a patch where if you hold forward, he pushes you off, which is great if he has the corner because that's where a command grab character like Jason wants you to be. And then there's corpse grab, anti-air grab, nothing too crazy. Meter burn doesn't add any crazy animations. It's just a harder knockdown. Now in this variation,
so, corpse grab. Can you do that again real quick?
Sure. Like just normal corpse grab?
Yeah, just normal corpse grab. I'm curious. You know, without the sleeping bag, that also looks like a reference.
Well, one of his fatalities is called Sleeping Bag Killer, so we'll get to that later on, which is very exciting. Now we have, we'll talk about his variation exclusive stuff, but we're not going to start here, because we actually have to start with Slasher because of the changes to his universal moves. Yes, this is his machete variation, and this is where another quasi-universal move comes from. Which is actually not available in his Unstoppable variation, Killing Machine, which he gets armored up. He cannot jump, he cannot jump, and he cannot dash, and I don't think he can block. No, he can block. But here's the thing, he's armored. So if I have Cassie Cage wake up with a Kimbo, and I have Killing Machine on, screw you, you're dead. Also, his throw has a different animation because he uses the machete in this variation, but we're neither here nor there. So that's a universal move. In Slasher, he has a ton of machete moves. Instead of that rushing punch, he has this launcher, which can be repeated up to 3 times in the corner for just brain-dead damage. Then he has this string, which is unique to this variation, which, as you can see, same sort of idea, just big launcher. This string is universal. It just has a little extra range thanks to the machete.
I gotta say, Jason's got them high kicks.
Yep. This string also uses the machete. He has this string, which I believe is exclusive. I don't think he has this in any other variation. This is the replacement for his advancing string. And I think, yeah, so his strings also have new names, like Cut and Gut, The Innocent, No Hiding, Machete Launch, Mama's Boy, because this is off of a new normal he has, Serial Killer, Drowning, Payback, and Brooding. So, real quick, his standing he doesn't have his stun. He has this fairly quick overhead and this launcher, but he has this, which has a unique animation. I don't think there's any character in this game that in Mortal Kombat games that has this animation since. So that's fun. And this is his launcher.
Damn.
Yeah, just a straight up throw cut. And then his throw, which is the same animation regardless of if it's backwards or forwards. Only MKX has that. How are you not fucking dead after this?
Oh, that is absolutely a reference.
I'm glad, because this is also a brutality. A hidden brutality, actually. And his temple punch now is the shoulder rush. Same basic idea, but it does less damage overall. But I think it covers a little more ground.
Yeah.
His choke becomes bloodshed. Which does lots of damage, because he doesn't have any command grabs, right? So this makes sense for him to have a big boy damage. But instead of command grabs, he has a straight-up projectile. A mid-projectile that does 9% damage, and on meter burn is the strongest projectile in the game. In terms of damage. 15%.
Well, Jason has yeeted a weapon at someone before.
I'm sure he has. And then he has it's almost an auto combo, but it's a special move. It's called Psycho Slash. Just do this, you get a basic 3-hit combo. On meter burn, it does 22% damage. And you would actually use this to end combos. Look at that. You're getting the same damage as his X-Ray for 1 bar a meter, just for a relatively basic combo. If there's a theme with Jason in this game, it's that he hits like a truck. Everything he does insane damage.
That follows.
Everything hurts when you fight Jason Voorhees. Now let's take a look at Relentless. This is Black Mask Jason. And Relentless Jason has some interesting tricks. First off, the less health he has, the more damage he does. And when I say the more damage he does, I mean like at 5% health, he's doing 50% more damage. So if I have, if I set the health to 10%, because that's the lowest I can go right now. That's a spam call, go away. And then I just have Cassie dashing and sweep. Okay, and then turn that off. Remember how his command grabs were doing about 18-20% damage?
Yeah.
That was one move. That was, yeah. Also, because we're here, we might as well. This is his super move, the Horror, which it isn't quite full screen, but it's pretty close. It's also not armored unless you activate the armor. Now that's not indicative of its real damage, because remember I have the damage buff on, it actually does 32%, but still.
Gotta say, that little approach was goofy.
Yeah. But what's not goofy is that for a very basic combo, come on Jason, cooperate here, damn it. It's not working. Yeah, it can do, that basic combo can do over 80% damage at that stage. It's absurd. But now let's quickly talk about what Relentless Jason brings to the table. First up is Lake Mist.
Okay.
He has
Teleport.
and on Meter Burn, it's armored, and he recovers faster. So he could do that to really mess with the opponent. And of course, you know, if he has the armor on, you can't zone him out because he just teleports in your face. And then of course, if he expects you to do a slow projectile, he'll just teleport, maybe throw you. And then there's Pursuit. It's a buff, or rather a debuff to the opponent. It doesn't look like much at first, but let's have Cassie just do her basic moves. Right?
Okay.
Oh, that's weird. It's actually not responding as it should. This scrambles your controls. This scrambles the opponent's controls.
Oh, okay.
So it's not completely random. There are a few presets it chooses from, but it does scramble all of your opponent's controls except for two: the block button and your throw button. Otherwise, get ready, because you do something, you want a special move, all of a sudden you're not doing it, and all of a sudden Jason's in your face. Now you'll notice it takes a while for him to recover. On Meter Burn, though, the recovery time is cut in half. So, scary. Very, very scary. But not as scary as what I think is the most broken variation in all of Mortal Kombat, or at least top 5. Unstoppable. Now, Unstoppable Jason has all of his command grabs and stuff, but he does not have the armored state. He instead has this, and I'm going to set this to normal. He has a few moves. Punishment, Rise, or Punishment and Rise. These are his new buffs. Punishment, or Rise, replaces his armor. He gains health over time, and he gains super meter over time. Just raw. And while it's active, he gains a certain amount of meter. On Meter Burn, it's faster, and he regenerates a little more health. I don't actually tend to use the Meter Burn version of this all that much, but Rise is where it gets crazy. This is his damage buff. So a normal uppercut does 14%. Rise buffs all attack damage by 33%. So now his uppercuts are hitting really hard.
Damn.
On Meter Burn, that's 50% more damage, and it cancels faster. So if you go to activate the buff and they're already in the air, you can anti-air them for 20% damage or more. Now, here's the thing about Rise and its Meter Burn version, Corpse Walk, that is scary. Every single attack that Jason Voorhees does when Rise is active breaks armor. Everything. Even his fastest moves, which these are combos. Even his fastest moves, which he has a 6-frame down 1. This is one of the fastest buttons in the game. So if you try to do anything to armor reverse to take your turn back and he has Rise on, nope, it's my turn still. If you try to exploit the gap that back 2 grab has, nope, this throw's unblockable and doing more damage. You know, just a measly 17% damage and armor break because, you know, you tried to take your turn back. Or 20%. And here's where it gets really nutty. Just for the sake of this, I'm going to put this back to how it is. You can stack them both. Yes, so you can do this, and then I've healed, got some meter, done some extra damage, and you are in the corner now. Oh, and I forgot to mention, these buffs last longer, too, so when they're meter burn, so watch the fuck out. Yeah, Jason's kind of scary. Let's take a look at his fatalities, while you express your thoughts about Jason Voorhees.
Alright, so right off the bat, he has a lot more references going for him than Freddy did in his moveset. But I think that's partially because he's a lot more straightforward in terms of how he fights. He just beats the shit out of people.
So nothing fancy that they have to squeeze in. So they just have to take the enemy.
He grabs people, he throws them, and he stabs them in various ways.
dabbed them muchly. Unfortunately, we won't get any. Lore references here, so we move on. By the way, this is his player 2 color.
Yeah.
This is Kill for Mother.
Well, he hasn't done that in the movies.
So that's an original kill?
Yeah, that is an original kill. It does remind me a lot of the movie Hatchet, because there's a kill like that in there.
Okay, that's pretty cool. And then there's
Fun fact, in the movie Hatchet, Kane Hodder, one of the most famous Jason actors ever, also plays the killer in that.
Well, that's pretty cool. Maybe that's why they threw that in there as like a little double nod. And then this one is, fun fact, it's the only one that has a meter burn input almost, and it's called the Sleeping Bag Killer. That's not it. I was too close, I think. It's okay.
Nah.
Most horrible kill in the game right there. There we go.
Yeah, that's absolutely a reference to the sleeping bag.
I love that Jason gets special music cues, too.
Yeah. One of Jason's arguably most famous kills is when he picks someone up in their sleeping bag and slams them into a tree.
Yep. And over and over and over again until they're dead.
Well, no, actually, in the movie, it's only once. Originally, it was intended to have him slam him into the tree repeatedly, but it doesn't happen that way because Kane Hodder got freaking exhausted quickly. So when they were doing one of those takes, he just picks it up, slammed the bag into the tree, and threw it to the ground, and that's the take they went with. However, in the movie Jason X, their kill is kind of recreated, but it's with 2 people in 2 sleeping bags.
Oh, I see.
Just slamming one of them into the other repeatedly while they're in a sleeping bag.
Oh, would you look at that? Leatherface is actually in this classic tower, so we'll get to see him for a little bit.
Sweet.
But we're not going to talk about Leatherface yet. We're going to talk about Jason. And because you are the lore guy, how would you like me to play as Jason? Would you like his player 2 color, player 1 color, and what variation?
Player 1 color, and gotta go slasher, gotta get on with the machete.
Alright, then let's do this. Also, there are character-specific intros, and for the guest characters, instead of it being a back-and-forth banter, they have a unique cutscene. And if Jason starts the cutscene, he drags... I'll show it later, but right now. Also, we'll have different skins, so that's fun. And that's the intro you'll be seeing for most of the show. Take it away!
Alright, so Jason Voorhees, unlike Freddy Krueger, has a very simple origin. As a boy, he was born deformed physically, and pretty much grew up with only his mother raising him. And, Jason was picked on a lot as a boy, and unfortunately, that resulted in one year, while his mom was working as a local summer camp's cook, Jason was chased into the lake by the other kids, and he subsequently drowned, or so they thought. Jason was chased into the lake, at Camp Crystal Lake, and he supposedly drowned. His mother went insane, went on a little bit of a killing spree, did a little bit of light murdering, a little bit of teen murder, before she was ultimately decapitated. Jason saw this and started his own murder spree as a now hulking individual, and the rest is pretty much history. Jason Voorhees, he's been through a lot. He's killed a lot of people. Not really much else to say there. He's a big guy who murders people at a summer camp.
Oh, here comes the brutality.
There's a little bit more to his story. Oh, Kenshi's dead. And as this sort of bio hinted at, Jason's biggest claim to fame is he don't die, or he don't stay dead. The first 4 movies are with Jason while he's still alive, so he takes a lot of hits, but he doesn't actually die. And here's Leatherface. I have thoughts about him, but we'll save that.
Yes.
But yeah. In the first 4 movies, Jason takes a lot of hits, but he doesn't actually die, even when he gets an axe to the dome.
Because Jason's just that goddamn tough.
Yeah.
Let's leave Leatherface alive. He needs to show back up.
Yeah. Of course, Jason Voorhees does actually die at the end of the fourth movie, killed by the character Tommy Jarvis. And the first time he's ever actually died in a movie. And from there, he just kind of dies. Well, first there's the fifth movie, which doesn't actually feature Jason, but it basically features Jason. It features a copycat killer, which is the basis of his Player 2 color scheme. With the blue chevrons on his mask. But we're here to talk about Jason, not some weird copycat killer.
Indeed not.
So, yeah. Jason came back to life with an electrified fence post through his chest. And just went right back to murder. And, from there, just kind of took off. Yeah. I mean, like I said, he's got a very basic story. He's a murdering madman. And of course, as the movies went on, they slowly got more and more ridiculous. Obviously, with Part 6 bringing in Zombie Jason, Part 7 bringing back Zombie Jason again, but this time he's fighting Carrie from, he's basically fighting Carrie from the Stephen King novel.
Huh.
Then, of course, Part 8, he goes to Manhattan.
Jason takes
Part
Manhattan,
9,
right?
Part 9, he kind of goes to hell, but that movie's weird in its own way. Part 9 is the least Friday the 13th of the Friday the 13th movies.
And then there's Freddy vs. Jason.
Well, no, first there's Jason X.
Oh, yes, Jason X, the game where he goes into space.
Goes to space and becomes a cyborg. And it is probably one of my favorite Friday the 13th movies, because at that point they don't give a shit. But yeah, Jason goes to space, and then there's Freddy vs. Jason, which was a long time coming. Wherein, Freddy and Jason Voorhees throw down. And as I said in the Freddy episode, that movie is worth watching for the fights alone.
Indeed.
Those two go ham on each other.
And I'm slightly upset that they used Freddy first in Mortal Kombat 9. I mean, I know why, but imagine, because, spoiler alerts, Alien vs. Predator, and then Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah. And then, after Freddy vs. Jason, the series was dormant for a little bit until the reboot in 2009, which I actually like. It's the best version of the first 4 movies. Because the first 4 Friday films, even the original, come at me, are kind of boring. They drag on a lot. And they're just kind of sitting there waiting for the kill to happen. The reboot is the best version of the first 4 in that it's just fast-paced and there's kills all around.
It does not fuck around.
And it presents arguably the best version of Jason Voorhees as a savvy, wild man who hauls ass at his victims. And that seems to be the design they kind of went for here, somewhat, is a blend of Freddy vs. Jason, and remake Jason.
The 2 most recent versions of Jason, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Design-wise, I do largely like what they went for, but I do think they kind of missed the nail when it came to his head shape, because Jason's meant to be physically deformed.
Yeah, and through modding you can see what his face looks like. He just kind of looks gnarled. He doesn't look completely fargalargled up.
Yeah, it's meant to be a face only a mother could love, and I don't know about you, but his face looks really tame. But yeah. Jason killing a drunk person, nothing new here.
Except this drunk person knows martial arts, for some reason.
I mean, Jason fought a boxer once.
Oh yes, that is correct.
And punched his head off.
Oh, has to be meter burned. Okay, so his brutality.
And I did mention earlier, Jason's probably most famous actor was Kane Hodder, who played him from Part 7 to Jason X. And while a couple of the Jason actors who played Jason before him, because Jason Voorhees has had a lot of actors, because that's the benefit for the studio. Jason wears a mask a lot of times and has a lot of latex prosthetics when you do see his face. So you can basically hire anyone to be Jason.
As long as they're big.
Yeah, as long as they're big and menacing. But Kane Hodder played him the most and brought a lot of consistency in his character because he brought something that I think was missing from a lot of Jasons. He was angry. He made Jason fucking angry, which, you know, kind of makes sense. He made Jason the hulking rage monster we know him as.
Yep. Also, just beating Kitana up with a muffler. Does that track with Jason's strength?
Abso-fucking-lutely. Especially if we're going by zombie Jason standards. Zombie Jason is ludicrously strong. Capable of punching someone's head off in one strike.
Yeah, let's see. Which is kind of nuts. Let's see. That's actually one of his brutalities, which comes off of his universal charge/punch attack. If you meter burn it at the and use it to close out a round, the head goes flying.
Yeah.
Also, here he is throwing a traffic light, and here he is throwing an engine.
Yeah, that tracks. Jason's a strong boy. But yeah, I think aside from Kane Hodder, one of the people who did the best portrayals of Jason was the guy who played him in Part 4.
There we go.
That's silly, but yeah. In Part 4, I think that actor did a really good job of playing Jason. Made him played him less of a bumbling idiot. But I think one of the most underrated performances of Jason actually comes from the reboot, where Derek Mears played him. Because Derek Mears put a lot of care into that role. He actually read up a bit on child psychology and what Jason went through would have done to kids, and he brings a lot of that into the role of Jason, while still maintaining big angry boy.
Big, very angry boy.
Yeah.
Who for some reason in this game is surprising. Well, it's because all the interactions are actually universal, which I think is one of Mortal Kombat X's biggest weaknesses. But, you know, he can swing from tree branches in this game.
Well, I don't think any Jason's done that.
Is there a Jason that's agile enough to do that?
Probably not. Jason's pretty damn big overall.
Yeah.
I think most branches would snap. Like I said, in the reboot 2009 movie, Jason hauls ass. He sprints at people, which is something Jason didn't really do before, and I think just makes that version of Jason more terrifying.
Yeah, even if his run in this game is goofy, not imposing.
Yeah, it's a little goofy. So I think what they were going for with this Jason as a character was trying to blend the different versions of him. Like, he doesn't have the zombified skin of zombie Jason.
Yeah.
But he's got zombie Jason's strength and power.
His skull also isn't completely gnarled.
Yeah. Which is kind of disappointing because that's a universal thing with Jason, is his face is gnarled. Oh, there goes Cassie. Although I just want to mention, she punched him in the balls and they exploded. In Freddy vs. Jason, there's actually a moment where Freddy kicks Jason in the balls, but he hurts his foot in doing so. And Jason's balls make a metallic clang sound.
Balls of steel.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's that.
Okay, so speaking of Jason X, here we are fighting a robot.
Yep.
Robot smoke!
Hell yeah.
Mental defective? Triborg, you asshole! You are going to die horribly now!
He's both not wrong. He's out of line, but he's right.
Yeah, and I love that on 2 stages you can just yeet people. Just random dudes.
Yeah. I feel like Jason Voorhees is just one of those characters that needs no introduction. He is so ingrained in the public consciousness that people know who he is. He's got the hockey mask and he's got the machete.
Yeah,
contrary to what a lot of popular culture depicts him with, he does not use a chainsaw. In fact, a chainsaw has only ever been used once in Friday the 13th, and it was used on him.
Ironic, no? But I do like how the hockey mask has become synonymous with
Jason Voorhees,
yeah, very much.
Which is crazy to think about because Jason didn't have that until the 3rd movie.
Wasn't his original mask a burlap sack or something?
Yeah, it was a potato sack with a hole in it for him to see through.
Yeah.
And that was the original Jason mask, which, from what I understand, wasn't even really intentional. They just kind of used it because that was what they had at the time. They didn't know what kind of mask to give him. They just knew they wanted to put him in a mask until his face reveal at the end, where he looks like Sloth. And they're like, fuck it, potato sack.
It was like, hey, it's handy. There probably would be one in the campground. Makes sense.
Yeah. And then there's part 3, which introduces the iconic hockey mask.
Oh, look, it's Tanya.
Ah, yes, Tanya.
Speak while you can. Jason's a mute.
Yeah. Probably doesn't help that he keeps getting knives in his neck.
I mean, I think that's Michael Myers being jealous that he isn't in a Mortal Kombat game yet.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll talk. We can talk about that else at another time, but I'm just giggling.
Yeah. Yeah. Jason Voorhees. Yeah, I feel like what they're going for here is just a blend of all of the Jasons to make a super Jason that would do well in Mortal Kombat. He's got Zombie Jason's strength, the ability to haul ass like remake Jason.
The machete from. How has he frequently used the machete, or is it one of those?
The machete is his signature weapon. He has a. If he was in D&D, he'd have a proficiency bonus with it.
Okay.
He's used the machete in basically every movie that he's been in.
Okay, that's good to know. I was like, it's one of those things where, like, the chainsaw, where how the chainsaw was ingrained in the public consciousness with Jason, despite the fact that, you know, Jason doesn't actually use the chainsaw at all. It was one of those things I had to double check.
Yeah, the machete is absolutely his signature weapon. He's used it in, I think, almost every movie that he's appeared in. I mean, even Jason X makes a joke about it, where one of the people thinks the only reason he's killing everyone on the ship is because he's trying to get his machete back. Only for him to then use the machete after he gets it back to kill that person.
Ah. Very unfortunate on that person's behalf.
He's like, yeah, because the whole scene's like, don't worry, guys, he just wanted his machete back. It's cool, he's gonna leave us alone now. And then, boom, gets chopped.
Chop, chop, chopped. Also, this is a matchup that's kind of imposing. Jason Voorhees versus Goro.
Yeah.
Also, boss-ass intro. Just chuck the cape aside. Let's go. Machete versus a dude with...
Goro chucks his cape, Jason chucks his knife.
Yep. It's go time. Could you do me a huge solid and look something up for me?
What do you need?
Jason Voorhees' stage fatality input. Because I don't actually have it on the PC version of MKX.
Okay, I can check that real quick.
Please do.
Jason Voorhees stage fatality input. Down, back, forward, forward.
Down, back, forward. That's it?
Yeah, apparently.
Well, that's pretty easy.
Ow,
ow, ow, ow, ow.
Let me double check. That may not be the full thing. I'll look. That's stage fatality. Yep, down, back, forward, forward. At close range.
Okay, so down, back, forward, forward. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's one of the 3 stage fatalities they added in Mortal Kombat X.
You know, that would actually be something pretty apt to use on Jason, because that's how he dies and Jason goes to hell.
Just gets shot to hell. Literally.
Yeah, he gets blown to bits because, like, the movie opens with a pretty typical situation. There's a scantily clad woman in a cabin on Crystal Lake, and Jason's chasing her, but it turns out to be a setup by, like, the FBI or something. And then Jason just gets surrounded by guys in riot gear and just gets blown the fuck away.
Well, now he's fighting a fallen elder god.
Well, I mean, the Friday the 13th, the game, which is sad that it's not getting updates anymore, did give us a Jason that was apparently the king of hell.
Well then.
Yeah, it was the skin was called the Savini Jason because Tom Savini designed the original Jason makeup and the look for him in part 4. and then they got him to design a look for Jason for the game where he was like brimstone and fire and had a pitchfork.
Well, you can't go wrong with a pitchfork.
It was a trident, actually. It was a trident.
Well, it's a long thing with multiple stabby points. Also,
Yeah.
Shinnok, I know you're a god. Stop being a dick.
Yeah. If I had to say what my favorite Friday movies were, I do like the reboot, 2009. I do like the 2009 reboot. I like Jason X. I like Part 7 because I like Part 7 because of the absurdity of Jason fighting Carrie. Part 6 is really good. Like, I think Part 6 should be a lot of people's... I think, honestly, a lot of people should start with Part 6 as their first Friday the 13th movie.
If they know about Friday the 13th.
Yeah. Like, I feel like if you're going to start with a Friday the 13th movie, start with Part 6.
Corrupted Shinnok.
Oh, dear.
One of a few non-playable characters in this game. Ow. That's his throw. He does more damage, and he takes a little less damage. I think it's only 20% less damage.
He looks a bit like the digital demon that Jason kills in Jason X.
The digital demon?
Yeah, because there's like a VR, like, holodeck on the ship that on. And there's two guys playing a video game, pretty much. And there's like a digital hologram demon that they're fighting. It may not look like what this looks like. I may just be Mandela affecting it, but he just like chops it in half.
Well, he ain't got time for that shit.
Yeah.
Screw you, Shinnok. This is mine now. Yoink!
Yoinkus.
Fun fact, Shinnok is voiced by Troy Baker.
Huh.
Who also voices Aaron Black in this game, and in Mortal Kombat 11.
And now Shinnok's exploded.
Yep.
Like Scorpion, Jason Voorhees was a rebel. A vengeful spirit returned to life. Hundreds had fallen victim to his bloodlust. Liu Kang, now ruler of the Netherrealm, took notice. An immortal killer like Jason would be useful in his plans for conquest. He
This is
drew
jumping
Jason
off of
into
his
the
of
Netherrealm
Liu
and
Kang's
offered
MKX
him
ending.
endless bounty and slaughter. In return for his allegiance, Jason's simple reply was to destroy Liu Kang.
Yeah, that tracks. That tracks.
So, besides the fact that Liu Kang is the king of hell, you know.
Yeah. That's its own can of worms. But yeah, Jason just killing him, that tracks.
Yeah.
That tracks.
That,
Jason ain't got time for your shit.
That definitely tracks. So now that we have seen his ending, got an explanation of his lore, took a look at his gameplay, and have been introed to us, well, do we think he fits in Mortal Kombat?
Absolutely. Jason's I consider him a 10 out of 10 in terms of if he fits.
Well, he wouldn't be the first angry undead guy with a sharp weapon in this game. He's right here.
Yeah, I think Jason fits perfectly into Mortal Kombat.
That's a very good shout. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact for
I think Jason's an easy 10 out of 10.
yeah, I hear that. One thing that is really cool is which we didn't get to see it because it didn't pick Unstoppable, but if if Jason resurrects, which you can actually choose not to, forfeit the round to keep your meter, Jason, when he resurrects, he gets struck by lightning, and that's also his combo breaker animation. So yeah, so they implemented his lightning shenanigans in there as well.
Yeah.
So, now, how about how well they did Jason? How well did the boys, girls, and non-binaries at NetherRealm do this big hulking monster of a man?
I'm gonna say that Jason. I would knock them some points for design, but I try to cut 3D artists some slack because they're under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And outside of the design, which is only a minor gripe for me, I'm gonna say he gets 5 Mama's Head shrines out of 5.
Ooh, Mama's Head shrines. I like that. Yeah, Jason. As far as like he was the first guest character they revealed on March 13th, 2015, and they did really well with him.
Yeah.
Next time, which is tomorrow, we're not leaving Mortal Kombat X because we're going to jump forward to the guest that arrived in July. One of my favorite characters of all time. Don't forget to be awesome, my friends, and we'll see you guys on the other side.